So here's a map of North America in 1490, millions of people, hundreds of civilizations, thriving trade networks, genuinely fascinating stuff, and then some ships showed up. Columbus lands, thinks he's in India, calls everyone Indians, gets that completely wrong, and somehow gets 5 national holidays and a city named after him anyway, which sets the tone. Over the next century, Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands all show up and start claiming pieces of the continent they definitely did not find first. And the locals are not consulted. England ends up with 13 colonies along the east coast, fills them with settlers, and basically ignores them for about 100 years while being busy with wars in Europe, which the colonies are fine with honestly. But then Britain fights a huge expensive war against France and America, wins, runs out of money completely, and looks over at the colonies and goes, "Hey, you guys should probably pay for that." The colonies go, "Wait, we don't get any say in parliament, so you can't tax us." And Britain goes, "Yes, we can." And the colonies go, "No, you can't." And this goes on for a while. Britain taxes stamps. The colonists protest. Britain backs down. Britain taxes tea. The colonists throw it in the harbor. Britain sends troops. And suddenly, everyone has guns and nobody is backing down anymore. So in 1775, the Revolutionary War starts. And the colonies are fighting the most powerful military on earth with farmers, hunters, a prayer, and some very strong opinions about taxation. George Washington loses basically every battle he fights, but keeps the army together through sheer stubbornness, and the British helpfully making mistakes, and somehow this works out. France decides to help the colonists purely to annoy Britain, which is a completely valid foreign policy reason, and with French support the war turns and Britain surrenders in 1781. Now 13 colonies need to become one country, which means getting 13 groups of people who disagree about everything to agree on a constitution, which goes about as well as you'd expect. They somehow produce the Constitution, which is genuinely impressive, and then immediately argue about whether to add a Bill of Rights, and then add the Bill of Rights, and then keep arguing anyway. Washington becomes the first president. Everyone loves him. He refuses to be king. Everyone loves him more, and he spends 8 years warning everyone not to form political parties, and everyone immediately forms political parties. The country starts expanding west, which involves buying Louisiana from Napoleon for basically nothing, fighting a war with Mexico, and a lot of stuff that the history books used to skip over but really shouldn't. And the whole time this is happening, slavery is expanding with the country, which half the country wants to keep and half the country wants to end. And this disagreement is going to become a very big problem very soon. Abraham Lincoln gets elected in 1860. Several southern states immediately go, "We're leaving." And Lincoln goes, "No, you're not." And they go, "Watch us." And the Civil War starts. The Civil War kills 600,000 people, destroys the South, ends slavery, and Lincoln is assassinated 5 days after it ends, which is the worst possible timing for a vacation to the theater. Reconstruction goes badly. Industrialization goes extremely fast. Robber barons accumulate absurd amounts of money, and America goes from mostly farms to the world's largest economy in about 40 years. World War I starts in Europe and America goes, "Not our problem," for 3 years. Then some submarine nonsense happens and America goes, "Actually, our problem," and shows up in 1917. The Roaring Twenties happen. Jazz, flappers, the stock market going insane. And then in 1929, the stock market crashes so completely that it takes a decade to sort out and is called the Great Depression. World War II starts. America does the same thing, "Not our problem," for 2 years. Then Japan bombs Pearl Harbor and America goes, "Okay, that's definitely our problem," and enters the war. America fights on 2 fronts simultaneously, produces an absolutely insane amount of war material, helps win the war in Europe, and ends the war in the Pacific by dropping atomic bombs, which is a whole thing. After WW2, America and the Soviet Union are the only 2 superpowers left standing, and immediately start a decades-long competition to see who can be more threatening without technically starting a war. The Cold War involves proxy wars, space races, nuclear scares, propaganda, and both sides spending obscene amounts of money being terrified of each other for 45 years straight. America also lands on the moon in 1969, mostly to beat the Soviets, which works. And Neil Armstrong says something poetic, and the whole world watches, and it's genuinely one of the most impressive things humans have ever done. The Cold War ends in 1991, when the Soviet Union just sort of collapses on its own, which America is happy about but also doesn't quite know what to do with itself without a main rival anymore. The 90s are pretty good, actually, economy booming. No major wars. The internet gets invented, and America is the world's only superpower, which it handles with mixed results. September 11, 2001 happens. America invades Afghanistan, then Iraq, and spends the next 20 years in a war on terror that costs trillions of dollars and ends with Afghanistan looking roughly the same as it started. In 2008, the financial system nearly collapses because banks were doing extremely stupid things with mortgages. America bails them out, and the banks go right back to doing the same things. America elects its first black president in 2008, which is a genuinely historic moment, and then immediately spends the next decade arguing about absolutely everything else, just as loudly as before. The 2010s brings social media, extreme political polarization, a reality TV star becoming president, and a general vibe that everything is simultaneously fine and definitely not fine. Then a pandemic hits in 2020 and the entire country argues about that too, while also having an extremely chaotic election, a Capitol riot, and enough news events in 1 year to fill a decade. So in about 250 years, America went from 13 angry colonies complaining about tea to the most culturally influential, militarily powerful country in human history, which it uses to export movies, music, fast food, and extremely online political discourse to every corner of the planet, which other countries have mixed feelings about. The country that couldn't agree on a constitution, couldn't agree on slavery, couldn't agree on entering 2 world wars, can't agree on basically anything, still here, still arguing, still somehow the main character of world history, started over tea, ended up here. Nobody planned any of this, which is either inspiring or terrifying depending on which half you're on, and the answer is probably both.